Action surge. It's happening now. It's
Action
happening now.
surge.
Action surge is happening now. So we've literally just finished. What do everyone think? How are we doing? I've just been pointed out that I reattached a head to a corpse, which is a real shame with healing.
I like to think that it was half off.
Yeah, like just
when she did
kind of like death becomes her, you know.
Yeah. I won't be doing that again. We'll not be saying.
We've also got divine magic again.
Yeah, divine magic is back. Divine magic wasn't working in the areas of the blight.
Yeah. It's just before you did that with the healing. I was literally about to try and cast silent image of just like a little bush in front of the dead body. Just like shit.
It was because I wanted Morgan to. Well, Morgan did really well in
Morgan
that.
had a great day.
You certainly could see the
Morgan
shit
was
that Morgan
great.
can do. Because also Morgan. So, can I tell you about Morgan?
Yeah.
Go on.
Morgan's changed his paladin oath. Morgan is now an oathbreaker. So he was Oath of the Ancients, which is a kind of not Oath of the Ancients. He was Oath of Glory, an Oath of Glory paladin, and then he has changed it to an oathbreaker because
He scratched his
there's no god anymore. Like there's no
join the
god
damned.
to follow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he gets inflict wounds, which is the same spell that she cast on you. She has it at it's a difficult thing because I'm obviously trying to run multiple NPCs and I don't want her to burn all her top spells early doors. So I was like, I'll cast a first level inflict wounds on you, which is 3d10, and then I crit on it. Thank God you had resistance to necrotic damage.
Yeah.
Because at third level it's up to 5d10. It's an amazing spell, inflict wounds, but you can only really use it as a cleric because you've got to touch someone. Like as a wizard, it would be kind of pointless because you'd be
right up
you'd
in
be
there.
killed. But yeah, some more treachery.
It would have left me on 4 HP.
Right, okay.
That first round would have, if I hadn't been bitten by the blight, I'd have had 4 HP at the end of that first round.
Gosh.
That was.
Morgan, you were up and down.
Morgan was that
Yeah.
moment with the bomb and the.
Oh, that was
So, as I said, it was
And
very
that really
narrative.
saved us
Yes.
as well.
Out of
Three
curiosity, his oath breaking do we literally basically almost see the moment in that moment, or was it like it's just kind
was
of
when he was
happened?
scratched.
When he leveled up.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
like mechanically, when he leveled up, I've allowed him to change his
Yeah,
oath.
okay.
But story-wise, it was probably that conversation with Endelian.
Yeah.
Like him going, there's nothing to worship anymore.
That was such a cool conversation.
Yeah, it really
great.
was.
Yeah.
You role-played that.
You're great. It was
Really.
great.
So sweaty. So sweaty after that. That was terrible. That was
You're so
absolutely
brilliant
terrifying.
at it. Like,
really are.
Endelian feels to me like such. I think I've said this before, but like such a like a vivid character.
Yeah.
I feel like I really understand.
Like, yeah, you know how she'd act, and you stick to that, and it's like, that's really cool.
Do you want to read the letter to everyone?
Yeah.
So I had this letter. It's really cool, isn't
That
it?
is
Again, Mark
really
crafted
cool.
campaigns, just doing cool stuff. Because he was like, I had a Zoom meeting with Mark, and I was like, I have the letter. I had this letter, and he was like, oh, do you want to? I've got like he literally just showed me this 3D printed scroll case on Zoom. He was like, do you want one of these? And I was like, yeah. I got a budget, right?
Add it to the bill.
This saved us.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So originally, it's
Reverse
really
engineer.
difficult to know what to do with things like that because originally, when I first planned this out, when I first thought about what would happen, I was like, oh, I want them to read the letter. And then I was like, actually, do I want them to read the letter? And by that point, I'd got the scroll case, and I was like, they can't. If I give them the scroll case, they're going to open it.
Yeah.
Like if I say this is yours, don't open it.
100%, that's the
you know,
first
you're
thing
going to
to
open
do.
it.
I mean-
but then it's all these kind of things that just are serendipitous. I didn't think Morgan was going to survive the first fight with the wolves necessarily. He went down in the first fight with the wolves, and he wasn't meant to be a DMPC, which he has essentially been in these first 3 episodes. So when he went down, I think you, Aoife, said, it's all right, we can heal him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, really, healing word shouldn't have worked on that guard. Like, NPCs shouldn't be able to come back. And I'm not going to set a precedent that that's something that can happen. Because I just think it kind of makes death meaningless.
Yeah.
But you all had such a reaction to him going down that I was like, oh, okay, actually, this is someone who feels more narratively significant than I thought he would be. So I was like, on the fly, I was like, oh, I'll turn him into a DMPC, which then meant that I could give him the letter.
Yeah.
So I could have the prop and have the thing, but not. And then I had this thing when I was writing the the recap where I was like, God, I need to acknowledge the letter. I'm not trying to hide the letter from them, but I want to kind of scroll
Honestly,
past it as quick as I can so that
it didn't register with me at all.
So this is the letter.
Jasmine, the virtuous are dead, we know not how. The enemy surely begins to move against us. Those that bring you this message are all that know the truth of the matter. For the hope of all reliquiae and for the preservation of order and light in the face of darkness that may follow, they must be silenced. Do it at once and with a minimum of pain. They are blameless, but cannot live to speak. In this matter, I have acted alone and in secret, even from the Antiqua. Say nothing, even to those you trust. Atria itself is falling to blight. Our magic is worthless as this blight spreads. The mountain cannot fall. Instruct the others to prepare all spells to preserve it. They must be discreet. There must be no panic nor rumor. The Antiqua shall soon descend. The benediction will continue. The lessons shall be taught. This ceremony is undertaken. The people will rejoice with nothing to fear. Jasmine, you have served me honorably all your life. I ask this terrible task of you because I believe you to be true. Prove me right. Prove yourself to possess both the beauty and ferocity of the once wild. We weep for the loss of these poor souls with one heart. We shall mourn them as the goddess would, with songs and sweet words. Be swift, Barabask.
Classic Barabask.
Get in the bin. Get in the bin.
He wrote it bloody quickly on top of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Classic Barabask.
Yeah,
So all those appeals to her to believe, like, obviously, it's why it's very narratively satisfying that the dice weren't working, because that she already knew.
This is and like, and it's also that thing of like, this is what I kind of hope the world increasingly becomes, is like, Morgan's in the web. Doesn't mean Morgan's a bad guy. Barabask objectively is a bad guy. Doesn't mean everyone in his order is. Doesn't mean everyone who worships the same god. Like, you know, everyone's got their own kind of, everyone's kind of got their own morality. And so it was always on the cards for me that Jasmine could be turned. But I like that it took it took a long time, and it was like a real combined effort. It also allows, you know, different people to come to the fore at different moments.
Had we killed Jasmine, you guys would still be blighted as well.
That was my other
That
concern.
is true.
Was like,
That is a very, very good point.
There was a plan for that.
Until we find remove curse.
Can I know Jasmine's stats?
Jasmine is kind of homebrewed. Jasmine is Jasmine is a cleric. The really tricky thing about making actual player characters and then putting them in is players do a ton of damage and have very low HP. So I've got to try and find a way of and monsters typically have multiple attacks, maybe do a bit less damage, but have lots of HP. So you can kill a monster over 3 or 4 rounds. So she is a level 6 cleric. Originally she was going to be a level 10 cleric, but the problem is she then has spell slots that are, technically it would mean she wouldn't have greater restoration because that's a 5th level spell, but it's I've just sort of homebrewed that she has some of these high level spells, because inflict wounds and guiding bolt are the real issue. Inflict wounds at 5th level would be 7d10. I can't put 70 damage on you guys yet.
No.
So and then I just gave her more HP. So she has a 20 in wisdom. She's pretty balanced actually. 20 in wisdom, 18 in strength, 17 in intelligence, 16 in constitution, 10 in dex, and an 8 in charisma. And she has 70 HP. So she had a big tanky pool of HP, and she has an AC of 17.
It's the HP. I did 14 damage on a single roll. Even let's say I doubled that, I still wouldn't have lived 2 rounds.
But see, the thing was, when you fought those wolves, the wolves had 35 HP each, and you killed 5 of them, which is cumulatively 210 HP. So you guys can do a ton of damage. And it was about I beefed the guards up a little bit. A standard guard has 11 HP. These guys had 20. And then Matthias is based on this thing called a veteran. And I beefed his HP up and his AC up a little bit to kind of make him stick around.
What was his HP?
45.
My worry was I was right up front by myself.
Got about half off him.
Kind of irregardless.
Yeah, he was on 24.
All of you guys
he was on
had
24
marked
after that
anyway,
one attack.
so none of you were going to come to the front.
That's why you were you got to take care of the ads.
Yeah.
Do you mean none of us are going to come to the front?
Well, each one of you would have moved. You would have taken, apart from Misty Step, but if you'd come to join me up front, let's say I was alone with Jasmine and Matthias, you all had a mark, basically, pretty much. If any of you outside of Misty Step had tried to move, you were going to be taking you would have had a swing taken at you regardless. And moving wasn't in your best interest anyway.
I was behind a tree.
Pot-shotting from behind a tree as per usual.
So sneaky.
Which also, I fully appreciate what we were doing with the convincing, but in that moment, for those, obviously you guys aren't aware, we did a practice session. We've done a few little prep sessions.
Yeah, like 3 times I think we've
And the same thing happened again this time. I ran forward and used beg or grovel
And
to
nobody-
give everyone advantage on attacks,
Yeah, and no
and
one
not
attacked.
one person
But
attacked.
I think at that point
It
we
made-
all sort of agreed.
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
we weren't-
It almost
sense.
it kind of almost helped with the. I think probably in a kind of by osmosis, it kind of helps to that
Yeah.
general feeling of all of you being like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
But in that moment, I was so like, oh God, I think Adelian's about to die. And I ran forward and I was like, I'm just going to give, so she can just, because he's about to start, I don't feel like he's going to start swinging. And then it was almost immediately when you went, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn to her and say, and I immediately went, yeah.
I had that thing where I was like, well, if I start like, you know, cutting heads off, like Morgan, and if we're trying to convince someone that we're not a threat, and we are just ripping through her guards,
Yeah.
not the best
It's not
look.
very convenient.
So I suppose in some sense I could have attacked one bonus action, try to talk to them, or vice versa, because I also have action surge. So it was just like,
Yeah.
I don't think on one hand I should be saying we're good people.
I know. Yeah.
Just having that kind of.
It was
No, you were
interesting.
right. I mean, I think there's an understanding that if you're like not in that conversation, you're going to keep doing the same
Yeah.
thing. But for you to like, say for example, there were certain things that I think if you had attacked her rather than hypnotic gazed her, I think obviously she hated that you tried to use magic on her because if you're telling the truth, why do you need to use magic?
Yeah.
I think if you had attacked her, like taken an opportunity attack, I think she probably would have tried to kill you all, like because. It's this constant. Pardon?
She did try to
Well, no,
kill us all.
but she stopped. But she stopped.
Yeah,
She would
I
have
think I
tried
would've been
until
at the end.
until you were dead or she was dead.
Yeah.
Because it gets to a point where it's like there's this constant balancing in her head of like, hang on, what can I believe? And if people are being like, we don't mean you any harm, like it doesn't really.
Can't have
Well,
both.
it was just quite stressful because so I was first in the initiative order and then it was you, right? But like
I was die.
it was right.
Tolly I and
Oh, right, that's
Delian.
right. But at your turn was when, I think it was at your turn, where that's when she said they'd killed the Antigua. And it was at that point I was like, oh no, we need to try.
Yeah.
And, but obviously it was almost an entire turn before it came round again. And like everyone was still attacking. So I was like, is this gonna work or are we in too deep at this point? So
It was the thing when you go all the way back to the insight check that you rolled when she read the letter, and you rolled a 22, and I said she looks afraid, and she looks like it's pity and fear,
yeah.
and again it was that same thing of kind of being like there's like a balancing thing going on, and what's she going to do? If we go right back to the top of the session though, and the start, like it was so nice to see, well, Radian bloom, but like so nice for you guys to actually, that is the first time, the only other time that you've got to like interact without, like in downtime, the only other time was like literally the first few moments of episode 1,
Yeah.
when you're sitting round the fires and the spoons emerged as a significant subplot. How is it to then, for you guys having done what you've done and been where you've been, and then have this chance to just chat as characters and like build or destroy relationships?
Or do both in some cases.
I mean, Radiant literally being the most sort of like teenage girl, high school kind of moment of just like turning around to I and being like, yeah, well, I don't even know you, I don't even really like you, and then turning around to Dolly and going, oh my God, I'm so random, that was so weird. Like, oh my God, I was just so nasty to I.
Yeah.
Her eye.
Yeah, poor eye. He deserves it. But Radiant feels like he doesn't really, genuinely doesn't like anyone because he doesn't know how he feels about anything. Like it's such a weird. He is so random in his choices, which I really like. Like even in the fight, you see it there. It's the way he kind of deals with the fight. It's like And I really, hopefully he'll learn something. But I think the only person who's shown him kindness in his life, really, for a while, is Dolly. In a little bit, like, done a nice thing. Like, even though she takes the piss, it's like, I can't imagine that they have a lot of laughs, that Radiant has a lot of laughs with people. Certainly the way that he's been speaking to the rest of the team is not like he's a lot of fun. And it's that...
Oh, I don't know.
Is this nice thing? This is the daisy chain.
Yeah.
That gives you an acorn and a coin.
Yeah, but you were giving them out willy-nilly.
I gave that to you first. Well, we did.
But also there's a
Pass the
significant
couple.
lack of trust as you'll go on to figure out like why he's in the web and what he's doing as to why he would be there in the first place. And like this is just like so not Radiant's bag. He doesn't care about gods. Like this isn't a thing. Like the gods being dead, is this our duty? Is this our thing to do? It's like there are other things that are more personally pressing than something that is like tangible. Like, we're struggling against this sort of stuff.
That's half what I was appealing to her about at the end, because it was like, and that's why having those chats at the start kind of informed what I was saying to her as well, because it was kind of like reading the letter. It was like, how do I talk us out of this? Like, what does she care about, and how can I tell her that this isn't our immediate concern? So yeah, like knowing people's backstories a little bit.
I think it's that thing as well with Jasmine where it's quite, like, obviously it's a ridiculously long letter to have written in such a short period of time. But the length of letter implies that this is a hard sell for Barabbas.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not kill them.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, cool,
and she's
yeah,
like,
sure.
Sure. Like, there are people in Reliquia who will do that. Like, there are plenty of people, you'd know people from, like, some of you who've been in the web for long would know people from the web who, if you went, if you looked over someone's shoulder and you went, kill them, they just kill them. And like, this is not her speed. Like, this is not her kind of typical thing. But I thought it was great. Like, there's stuff in those conversations that happen around the fire that are really exciting. I mean, like, little kind of drops of biographical information about people that I just sort of thought was really cool and really fun. How's level 4 as well?
Yeah, I'm really annoyed suggestion didn't work.
I'm sorry, she's got such high wisdom. She rolled an 18 on the die.
That was Matthias that was casting it on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a
Yeah.
+1 and he rolled an 18 on the die.
Yeah.
So the way that works, is that sort of in a similar kind of way as, like, would there be a spell element to it?
Oh, it is a spell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
but like,
spell.
was there like visual, like we would almost see it?
It's very subtle.
I feel like with stuff like that, flavor-wise, it almost has to be subtle
Yeah.
for it to be realistic, because otherwise everyone will be like, she's casting seeming on that guy,
Yeah.
she's casting suggestion on
It's
that
almost
guy.
like
suggestion, they don't know that you're casting it as well. It's
Yeah.
almost like afterwards they'd be like, why
Yeah.
what did
it's
I
almost
do
like
that
if
for?
you were to, like, it would be like a sort of whispered version of itself underneath it. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
slight audio.
So at 4th level, everyone gets to add a point to one skill or a point to 2 skills or 2 points to 1. What did everyone add their points to?
Strength.
Strength, 2 in strength.
2 in strength, and max. That puts me at 20 with so +5.
Yeah,
And I
so
just decided it wasn't worth. I'd have to put. The only thing I'm low in is intelligence, where I'm a -1, and that's on an 8. So I'd have to put both into that to bring it to 0. And if it was on a 9, like I think with what you did, I might have put 1 in and then.
Yeah.
But. Or I would have put dexterity up to 16 with the other one, but like I don't really use a lot of dex.
I also think that you use it for initiative and you'll use it for stealth and stuff, but like, certainly with intelligence, when you have a kind of mental stat, like an intelligence or a wisdom or charisma that has a minus, I actually think minuses, we said this when we were rolling characters, are really important. I think having like, a commoner has 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
Boring.
10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So it has a 0 on everything. And in theory, it means it's kind of fine at everything. God, that's really dull. Like, if you're going to play like a super charismatic something, don't also be really strong and really fast and like decently wise and actually, to be honest, pretty intelligent. You're like, oh, that's kind of...
That's
no,
Kelvis.
no, because Kel has a minus, right? Or do you not
I do.
anymore?
No, I have a minus on charisma.
So what did you put your points in?
I put my points into wisdom and constitution.
So you have a 20 on wisdom now, don't you?
Yeah.
So we have, how many 20s now do we have across the
I've only got
party?
one.
I've got a 20.
So 3 of you have got a
I've got a
20
20.
already at level 4, which
Because
is
I've-
pretty good.
That's because I put 1 point into dexterity because I was on a 19, so I took it up to 20.
Yeah.
And then I
Makes
put
sense.
the other one
In
wisdom
wisdom.
was on 9. so
To
I took it up
take your
10.
minus,
exactly.
away. What about you, Ben? What do you?
I shoved it into intelligence despite the choices that I made over the past.
You put both in there.
Both in there, yeah, because I wanted to get it up to +4.
So you're 18 now.
I'm 18 now.
It's one of those things where, as well, like, because I think you rolled the most, you rolled the least brilliant, but also least bad.
It was so
Did you
dynamically
get like
average.
2 12s, 2 14s, and 2 11s, or something, or 2 15s, 2
something like
12s,
that.
11s?
I've got a I've got a plus. I've got nothing in. I've got an 11 in strength. I've got a 17 in dexterity, a 2 in constitution, a 14 in constitution, an 18 in intelligence, a 12 in wisdom, and a 12 in charisma.
Right, so you can do a lot of stuff kind of fine.
Kind of fine.
And then, but not having at least a +4 as a spell, on like your primary stat, is actually really difficult.
Yeah.
Because with a fighter, okay, you've got a +3, but the damage that you do is only affected by 1 point of damage, whereas for spellcasters, it's also your spell save DC, because your spell save DC originally would have been like 13 and it's now 14, right?
Yeah.
And that, like, 13 is not a difficult thing to beat. Like, it's really quite an easy thing to beat. And the closer you get to like 14, 15, then people are really having to either roll well or be kind of proficient.
Like my favourite moment of all the idiotic things that Radion did in that, as he continues to do, I'm sorry, but also you got to play
Not
the character,
sorry.
right? Is that I got to use shield. That was
That was
That was really cool.
Okay, that was
That was really cool.
cool.
Because again, like, she was trying to do you damage.
Could have
Like,
done you some
For her
real
line
nasty
as
damage.
well.
Yeah.
You have no power here. Mahasa. Okay, yeah.
Okay, some power.
because I think also, like, you know, I'm talking about myself, the character is like accidentally good sometimes,
Yeah.
and there's this brilliance there that you see melded in with complete idiocy.
he's super raw, isn't he?
So raw, like, and absolutely like happy to be like, yeah, let's just see where this goes. And it's like there's no kind of no middle ground, right? It's like
Your gods are dead.
your gods are dead. Your gods are dead. I'm annoyed because it's like just get straight to the point because we spent ages doing it. Pisses you off, pisses I off for a bit because it's just like don't get too close, and then tries to get close to Dolly. It's like what are you thinking, man? And that seems to be kind of like his tact. It doesn't really have the tactical understanding of what he can
He's
do.
a bit of a dork, really.
Yeah,
like-
he's not optimized
Yeah.
in any way, which
Yeah.
is fun.
It's interesting when you had that conversation with Dolly and you were like, tell no one, don't tell. Just before you said that, I was going to be like, I wanted to be watching. I wanted to see if I could gain anything from this, but solely not because I wanted to learn anything, but because I wanted to be like to see after our conversation, to see you doing that and just kind of have a confirmation of going, I see. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, you've got that side to you. But
Yeah.
then when you started revealing stuff with the deck and everything, I was like, narratively, I was like, I don't want to. In this moment, I thought that was a good moment for them to have, like, and for that to be a little thing between them.
And
So
I'm
stepped back
interested
from
to see
it.
how that manifests, you know, because
Yeah.
I think when we spoke about what this mechanic can be in the game, it was made very clear that we kind of didn't want to just to be a thing.
What, the deck of many friends?
Yeah, the
first
deck-
appearance of
the first appearance of the
sort of
deck.
non-literal appearance of the deck of many friends. You just made a sort
First
of
reference.
Yeah.
So when we were all kind of conceiving this idea, we didn't want it just to be a thing that exists as a mechanic. It would actually be part of the lore of the world. And there's been kind of no reason for anyone to use it. And I think that because it is such an in-lore thing, an in-world piece of lore, it's going to be interesting to see what Dolly does with the information, whether Radiant chooses to trust anyone else with it, because it will ultimately be something that, you know, potentially could, a bit like Radiant, save the day or cause doom on the entire party, which is going to be interesting, both an instrument of, you know, good and bad.
It's fascinating, actually, because only 2 of the 5 of us actually know about that now.
And also notice he didn't show her the deck.
That's
He
true.
showed her an image of the deck.
Yeah.
Because I think there is this fear there's this fear of the whole thing. Because I said, like Radian said, when he's washed up on the shore, he was soaking wet, but the only thing that was with him was his deck of cards, and that was bone dry.
Yeah.
So it's this thing, and he can't sleep because he hears it whispering in the night.
What I also really like about this at the moment is, well, with how much we've found out about it, is we don't know to what extent Radiant knows what it does. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so, like, right now, on a mechanical level, we understand what's been set up, you know, but on a character level, not just for you haven't been told it does. We don't even know if Radiant actually really truly knows what it does.
Hasn't opened it.
What's really nice as a little flavourful thing is also that as an elf, you
technically
only
doesn't
sleep for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You only trance. You don't sleep. And I think it's really lovely that even in that you've got this kind of underscoring. The only person we haven't heard about ability score increases is you.
Yes. So I put a point because I had 17 in charisma and I had 15 in dex. So rather than put both into charisma, I just got the same results by putting 1 point there and putting 1 point into dex. So
it feels like that felt like a very significant dolly. I mean, obviously, because you essentially were the one who turns the tide.
And basically, like, after the faff with the landslide, this is where she can actually do something.
Yeah. And so essentially I'm just I set a DC of 20 in my head and sort of I'm keeping like a sort of success-fail tally. And it's like, unless you roll like a nat 1 on something, you're not going to actually add a fail by persuading. You add a fail by using magic. So it's 1-1, it's sort of best of 3. So if someone had attacked, it's all over and she's into the fight. But you think you rolled a 22 initially, and then the last one was 24. Like a 24.
Yeah, and a 19 as well. There was a lot of trying to persuade in there. But I was rolling high at least. So.
Yeah, but it's great. I love when a character's built for something and gets to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's also, this is...
I need to pick up my dagger.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, please don't leave that.
But also we had more lovely minis. I'm really enjoying the minis.
Do you know what? This was the best possible outcome though, because we got to see them, but we also didn't get squashed by combat.
Pass around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you can have a look at. So also I did actually have one more guard that I didn't use.
Oh mate, she's
because I
immense.
felt like it would be OP.
Do you know
have
what
a little look? The fun thing about these guards as well is Mark, who made them, sent me the thing, and I was like, man, they have in the 3D printing they have like really prominent moustaches and goatees, and he was like, yeah, I'll see what I can do about those. And then he texted me, he was like, don't look at them too close.
What's really cool about this one with Jasmine is obviously within the printing there's like the height kind of limit, but being placed upon a slightly higher base as well, when on the foot just gave that extra little height sort of.
Yeah.
You could see that little extra bit of height, which made a difference.
For those who are listening, it might be worth going to the video version just to see a bit of Jasmine. Jasmine is stunning.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's incredible.
Mateus is also pretty damn cool looking.
You know, Holly, that whenever you play characters or have usernames and stuff like that, there's often nods to Phoenix.
Yes.
So Mateus is my version of that.
Oh, is it?
When I was doing The Last Kingdom, I had a horse called Matthias. And I was the only character, due to a quirk in the plot, something that my character does in season 1, I'm the only character who keeps the same horse all the way through their channels. I never changed horse. So I had, he was this quite old horse. He was like 21 when I started working with him. And I did 3 seasons where he was my horse. He was the only horse I ever rode. And they're amazing and they get to know you. And I loved this horse. And I have a thank you letter from him, where at the end of the series I got him a kilo of carrots and a kilo of apples as a wrap present, and then I got a letter that he was owned by my stunt double who didn't have the best command of English, so he got someone else to write me a thank you letter on behalf of Matthias, and then got Matthias to step on the letter, so it has a hoof print on it. So Matthias is always my go-to, like, if I'm playing games where I need to pick a character, and it's not, frankly, if it's FIFA, it's me. But in every other school of gaming, I'll always go for Matthias as the first thing. So this was a little way of getting Matthias in there.
So Phoenix.
As a kid, I had a goldfish called biker fish. So if you could somehow, you know,
Biker
really
fish.
easily
Biker fish.
work in
Well, it's
biker
like we're
fish.
getting all these nods because you know that because Grawnoth is my friend Yeppa's character.
Yeah.
So there's loads of nods. There are
Lots of
a
Easter
load
eggs.
of nods coming up.
Very cool.
actually.
That you'll only know about by watching action or listening to
Absolutely,
action
yes.
scenes.
Absolutely.
Indelian is like a Welsh Gaelic
Yeah.
word, means fire soul.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Nice.
Phoenix has always been my
Yes.
online
Your-
identity.
Yours was amazing actually because when we were character creating, we all kind of did it in slightly different ways. So the way that I have always liked creating characters is kind of going, here's a map. What are you vibing? Where do you think you're from?
Yeah.
And then from that, we build the characters together, and therefore, when you're playing, you feel like your culture is reflected in the world. And Alex was the first one I spoke to, I think.
You knew
You
off
came
the
to our
bat.
meeting like fully baked.
I came to a
Yeah,
meeting with
yeah.
a full setting, yeah. But when we spoke, it was very much like, I've made him on Hero Forge, and I have this idea, and I think it's this guy. Our meeting notes on my our bullet points, because it was like this, and this, and you had the character so in your head, and you had the beginnings of like all kobold culture so in your head, and then over the course of like an hour, we kind of figured out kobold culture. And then Doug and I had like a long phone conversation. I think we had long phone conversations. And did we have a Zoom? Or did we have a...
Zoom.
Yeah, we had a Zoom. And then you sent me, essentially, what I now recognise now that we've been working together on this for a while, you essentially almost sent me a pitch document at
Yeah.
Deadlier, where it was like,
Did
this
what you
is her
best.
name, this is what it means, this is what this means, this is what this is from. And it's like, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool to sort of see the way that you guys are thinking even from the very beginning.
You need to realize you're a natural D&D
You really
Seriously.
are.
It's
Really are.
scary.
D&D
Like we were
player.
talking about
Really are.
sweating earlier on, and I think after the campfire, I was a little like not sure if I could lift my arms up. But interesting, I'll tell you that Rinan is Anglo-Saxon to run.
Yeah.
Oh,
But see,
Everything, every word is all for me. It's all pulled through.
significant. Do you feel like when we first spoke, you were like, oh, I don't feel that comfortable doing the role playing. I don't.
No.
Do you? Is it getting any? I mean, we're only 3 sessions in. Is it any easier, or is it just as sort of internally excruciating?
It's
as you thought
internally
it would be?
excruciating. I'm having to have internal dialogue of being like, just say it. You have to say it. Like, this is ridiculous. There's no point you being here if you're going to have internal dialogue and you don't say it. So when we're around that campfire, I'm having an argument internally about whether or not I have the guts to say what is in my head.
But the great thing is you always seem to know what she would say.
Yeah.
Like that's the really cool thing. It's about sort of releasing yourself to go, oh yeah, actually this is the...
Yeah, and again, luckily the whole point was making a character that wouldn't run away with me, and I felt that I could do it. But yeah, it genuinely is quite terrifying, vocalising what is in your head. And I think when we had the phone call, I was like, look, this is really scary for me because I'm about to tell someone what's in my imagination.
Yeah.
So for me, that makes me feel very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling vulnerable.
Yeah, of course.
So I remember getting off the phone and speaking to my partner and being like, oh no, Harry was amazing. Like he genuinely made me feel like I was in quite a safe space. So it was actually really easy. But that's my issue is saying what is in your head is a form of vulnerability, which I'm having to come to terms with more in order to play.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
I think we all feel that, though. I certainly feel it. I mean, I love playing D&D, but the role play terrifies me.
Even as an actor?
Even as an actor, I've never liked
You don't love improv, do you?
I don't like improv. I like having a script. I like knowing where things are going, and even if you're then improvising to a certain extent within that structure, there's that structure to fall back on. And role playing and improv, it makes me go,
It's outside your comfort zone.
yeah.
Have you felt any, in the last 3 sessions, any sort of like that comfort?
I wouldn't say I feel comfort. I feel like I'm getting to know the character.
Yeah.
So
You're
I'm
workshopping
becoming
it almost.
Yeah, I'm becoming more comfortable with the voices in my head. That
We got to know a little bit more about
Yeah.
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 We
You
did.
had a
that
big
was-
law drop.
Yeah, I
Really
loved it.
interesting.
Loved it. No, I thought it was so cool.
I didn't know if it was too early to drop
Nah,
something
not
like
at
that.
all. Like, also, there's an extent to which, like,
don't want to drop everything on episode 3.
like maybe if we were playing this, for real, it would take you guys 6 months to talk about your feelings. But this is also like a show, and if we have 5 closed books, we'll have 5 people walking 5 different paths, and you'll never have like party cohesion and all that sort of stuff. And so, I mean, I feel like it's really rewarding for me as a DM to see like people starting to kind of drip feed their character's personality out more into the world. Like, I think it's very easy for me to forget that as a DM, you always feel like, you know, you're really kind of the one doing the work, and people just sort of turn up and, you know, they just get to play. And that's assuming that everyone likes the same bits about it that you like about it. And actually, we were talking earlier about this, like, I like playing D&D. I love DMing. I absolutely love it. And if you were like, if you'd said, if at the very beginning when you got in contact with me, Ben, it would be like, do you want to play in a... I'd be like, yeah, man, of course. But when it was like, would you be interested in DMing? It's like, you have no idea. Like, of course, like it's... And maybe that comes from a place of control for me, because you guys don't have to do a ton of prep. You don't have to turn up having like built cities and weighted encounters, but you do have to turn up and trust and be like, okay, I'm just going to have to go with this, and I'm going to have to not block it and not be like, no. And I think it's a different type of different type of challenge, and a different kind of way of being, the thing that can be very intimidating.
Well, in case it isn't clear, doing an amazing job.
So good. So good.
We're very, very, very invested in
it's hard for people at home because you don't quite see it, but like, when we know Harry's up to something. Because we'll be in sort of like the main holding area outside of this room, and he's like giggling and smiling, and like he's genuinely bouncing around.
Just a little extra pep in that scene.
I think generally speaking, the more relaxed I am, the worse time you're going to have. Like, the more fiendish I'm going to...
The most terrifying thing is he just kept saying, God, I wish Eva had more HP. That was that really worried me, was when you kept going, God, I wish Eva did have more.
Oh, can I get all your new max HPs? Because I need to write, I have little cards.
Yeah,
because the tricky thing is like balancing an encounter where you have someone who has like, do you have 18 HP now?
Aww.
I'm so squishy.
Love that for you.
So Dolly has 18 HP.
30.
See, do you know what I mean? So it's almost double. Calnis?
32.
32. Radian?
26.
26.
Oh,
Wow. Oh, yeah, because you rolled
so
really
much
well.
stronger than me.
And then Endelian?
34.
34. Like, so do you see what I mean? Like, everyone's in the kind of late 20s, early 30s. And I've got Dolly, who is only just allowed to drink at 18. and it's kind of it's something I hadn't really anticipated, but it is quite tricky being like, well, but if they hit Dolly with that, she'll die. And
that's why, luckily for you, that nat one, thank God I rolled that nat one, because luckily I could take that to the chest.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, actually, saying that, if I hadn't had
Resistance.
the necrotic, I couldn't have taken it.
Yeah.
With what you rolled, a 37?
I think I rolled a 4.
26?
No, it was 27. I think I rolled 27 on 60-10. I think.
Yeah,
So I rolled under. I rolled under the average.
So I would have had 4 HP if it hadn't been halved. But I could have taken it.
It's crazy. It's
luckily
you're so close to death all the time at low levels, and I know that like it's a little bit like
that.
Yeah, I like it.
Especially for my character. I feel like that is that blood mist. That is just like it's pure like adrenaline and rage at that point.
I think that we're in that thing, aren't we? Where there's a like local heroes. I think is what you are from levels 0 to 4 or 5. So at 5th level, primary spellcasters get access to 3rd level spells, which are game-changing spells. Not inflict wounds, fireball, like really big damage spells. You at 5th level get a 2nd attack, so you can attack twice. So when you...
So I could do 3 attacks, right?
Yeah,
attack.
you can attack.
Sword dagger, action surge, sword dagger.
Yeah, which is like...
They're already dead.
I hope so.
But, you're kind of going to gradually get to this point where... And also, every fight has been a surprise so far.
Yeah.
So there will get to a point where you're having fights on your terms, or you can see them coming a little bit more.
This is what annoyed me about this one. I saw this coming.
Right.
Like, I remember walking through, and I think people who are watching this back home, you would have seen me do that with my pen,
Grip
my
your
dagger,
pen
my
like a
dagger
dagger,
pen.
yeah.
And and in my head I was going, I want to say, oh, Indelian's at least got her hand on her hilt.
Yeah.
But it was that, when do you say that? Because
I'm
such a
doing
nice,
narration.
and I was like, do you interrupt the story flow with that? Like, it's such
What
a nice
difference
feeling.
would it have made?
I don't think it would have. So what I think I probably would have done is I would have wanted you to have made like a really high level insight check to know that you were going to be attacked. And I think if you'd passed that insight check, you wouldn't have. She still would have got a surprise round on all of you, but she probably couldn't have attacked you on that surprise round. Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
I think it was more just the idea of like, again, we talked about like vocalizing what's in your head about what your character would be doing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily because it would have changed anything in the fight itself. But the idea was that in my head, I knew something was like, I had a feeling.
Something's
I couldn't
amiss.
prove anything. It just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I'm not blindly following this woman I've just met while my fingers turn black and about to fall off, going, oh, this will be great, she'll heal us.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's good's happened so far.
You want to know what I had in my back pocket in case you killed Jasmine and needed healing?
What?
Yeah.
The spinner can do it. The spinner has greater restoration, and there would have been a way of bringing him here.
You know, one of the things I love about D&D is the, and I think maybe we'll get better at this, but I feel like there were so many opportunities for one or more of us to just go, hey, hang on a minute. Or you know, like you had the feeling of it, but you didn't do anything.
No.
I kind of wanted to ask, where are we going, or something like that, but I didn't say it. And I think it's fascinating that you can have this dynamic where no matter how much Harry plans, one of us could have just thrown a complete spanner in the works.
Totally.
You know, we could have just.
Absolutely. There were so many different there were so many versions of this that work out differently, and I kind of have. Some of them I have like a vague sense of. I try to have like a plan A. You know, if they don't, this is kind of how I think it's going to go, and then I have a sort of B that's pretty well fleshed out, and then a C that kind of getting there, and then beyond that, it's just. And also, it's stuff like this. It's because we're still establishing. Excuse me, eating a mint.
For those of you listening, Harry is eating a very large snail.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Because we're still establishing the kind of nature of the missions here. We're still trying to figure out like what you guys will do and what you guys won't do. And there will come a point where you're self-motivating, where hopefully there's enough party cohesion that, you know, if the time comes for you to go and do something that Kelness needs doing, you'll all be like, we're going to go.
Coming with you, yeah.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah, sure.
And so there's a bit of a balancing act to try and go, how do I keep everyone interested, and who's going to go rogue when?
There was a moment when I nearly stayed behind when we first arrived and spoke to that, and was it
Pollyanna?
Yeah, Pollyanna. She was like, and then kind of went, "Oh, you guys, you know, blah blah blah." Gave some instructions, and in that moment, I was like, "Well, I doesn't need healing," so I was thinking we're gonna maybe like stay behind and be like, just start being like, "You pick up this," do you know what I mean? Sort of like,
Yeah.
and then just kind of went with it, but yeah, very nearly.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done there.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have been part of this.
Split the
Yeah,
party.
it must have been. I mean, they probably would have walked back out that way, I guess. So maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I think they would have realised you weren't with them and come back to look for you.
Yeah.
Because Jasmine's instructions were to kill you all.
Yeah.
So I think with that, she was like, one of them I just left because he
But also
wanted to
didn't
help.
specify in there how many. So
Actually, that was Pollyanna at that point as well.
yeah.
But I think you would have noticed I was gone.
Yeah, one of us would have been like, oh, God, he's run off to play. Like, go get the cat.
And then also
kid.
the market, obviously, like everything there. So really wanted to just almost like try and just as we walk past like someone holding out like a sample or something, or holding out an item trying to sell it, just walk past and just use sleight of hand just to like just try and take it from them.
And but this is exactly it. Like, what did I have? Like, I had like when you go like, oh, I need to have some stuff ready. So I say, what have I got? It's like, yeah. So I've got like in brackets for myself like prep some traders. Like, so those little call-outs that I did were sort of traders that I had prepped that if you wanted to buy stuff, you could have bought
It's not
stuff.
too late, right? We haven't left.
Yeah, you could go back. You could head back.
Oh, but we're dead now, of course.
Yeah, you're
Just a
dead.
sleight of hand steal something. I'm a very stealthy little boy.
Stealthy little lad.
I'm actually a fully grown man. I'm just a small
For those of you who are
Puppy
listening to this,
lizard
he's not
boy.
actually. He's 3 inches tall, and we have to put the mic so close to him. He stands on the table. He is his own mini.
That's amazing, though. We are effectively dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're dead as far as Barabask and the Antique were.
Yeah.
You're dead as far as Barabask would be concerned. He says in the thing, I've acted apart from the other Antiques. I don't think the other Antique would expect you to be dead. Certainly Grornoth wouldn't expect you to be dead.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Also, Jasmine told us that and sent away Matthias. Did she say to Matthias?
Yeah,
so
she
we
was
were,
like,
we were
she
doing
was
She said, Matthias and I have known each other for a long time. He'll do what I say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Equally, she also, had known what's her name for a long time and kind of Barabbas, known Barabbas for a long time and is now kind of
He was asking.
faltered from.
He has a lot
big
going.
thing.
Yeah,
Because obviously when we started that battle, we thought that we had killed them.
Yeah.
Which is why we were all screaming like, what?
Yeah,
Dude, like
she-
I just took an absolute hunt to the chest.
she
like
has
there's
to,
no way I killed a god.
She has to find a way of motivating the guards.
Yeah.
You know, she can't.
yeah.
She can't be like, just do it.
Yeah. That's true.
Because this isn't this isn't that world. Like
No.
this isn't a world of just like random execution, really. Particularly not in a religious festival.
No.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like going to the General Synod and someone going, hang that man. It's just like a weird time to do it. But I think like originally she was going to do something different. She was going to cast wind wall all around you. But it's actually not as effective as it sounds. Like you can just walk through it for some damage, and you're
it's a
all
breeze.
out of the wind wall. And that's a little spell burn.
Just a little bit.
My hair.
Yeah.
Right. We should probably wrap this up.
But before we do, we've got the roly-poly.
Rolling.
Roly. Oh, this is when I get to tell. This is when I get to do my traditional. These are my favourite things that happen in the episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My favourite things that happened in the episode this time were I liked Kelnis giving us that little bit of story. I loved the Morgan and Endelian conversation, and I really enjoyed how we're getting to a point now where even in battle, people are starting to like know how things work. That's really exciting. It's really exciting to see everyone kind of getting to a point where it's like, this is this, and this is how I'm going to use it, and I'm going to do that. And of course, you're still learning characters, and you're going to be learning new spells and learning new abilities. But it feels like we're getting to a point. This is only the second time we've actually met to play the campaign proper. It feels like it's really moving in an exciting direction.
We're growing.
And it's also kind of the end of it's kind of the end of the Atria bit.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
It kind of finishes that chapter on the mountain. Now
I hate that mountain.
now you're off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now you're off to Barun. And that has its own pitfalls and excitements. And
Barun.
what is in Barun? So what did you get, Ben?
I've got 66.
That's a terrible roly-poly. That's a bad roly-poly, baby.
Bad
It
boy,
is.
boy.
What did you get, Holly?
97.
97. Every time we're touching three figures, we get very excited. Doug?
I have had a fantastic roll. I got 138.
What?
Yeah.
Face!
It's great.
138.
Yeah.
I want it. What is the max that you can roll? You can roll 100 plus 20 plus 12 is one.
Don't do quick
No, it's
maths.
132, 142, 150,
I think I got a C at
150, 160. 160 is the max you can roll, right?
Well, that was
Fair
good.
play.
Wow.
play.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it now.
nice
Like,
one.
that's so spicy.
Yeah,
Well, I got a 67.
Oh, beaten by one. Beaten by one. And what do you get, Aoife?
139.
Dally got high.
Why am I getting all the good rolls now?
Yeah, get them out
I
your
didn't
system
have
quick. We're
I
going to
didn't
play
have
again soon.
any good rolls in that
Jeez.
game.
No.
I don't think I rolled above a.
You had good rolls. You had some good rolls against you, though. Like,
Yeah,
people
so-
missed on you.
Yeah,
Nobody
so
wants
Even with advantage, you
Yeah.
had
Oh, yeah,
advantage
yeah.
on those blimmin' thingies, and you just rolled like stink because the first one.
yeah, no. So I had a balance. People rolled bad against me, but I just generally didn't have a particularly good time this time. There's
Well-
a lot of persuasion this time, which obviously I'm just not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
exactly.
That's not what I
Well,
am.
also we can say that we've just homebrewed you not having persuasion as a thing.
Yes.
So
we should probably do that. So obviously, as we said, I have a -1 in intelligence. But as I think when we were speaking, our characters were speaking in the last episode, nature and especially the forest is really like it's where Endelium feels most comfortable, most at home. So to me, the -1 in nature has always felt really
incongruous.
yeah, but obviously I couldn't, and I almost put my 2 points into intelligence
Just to get
rid of the nature,
Yeah.
but I don't want arcana and history and religion. Clearly, I don't care about. So we've decided to swap it where I have
dropped your persuasion.
dropped persuasion to 0, which
Yeah.
was at a plus, so that I can bring nature up to +1.
Yeah.
So we're homebrewing a little
Just
bit.
the terrible time to do it.
Yeah, but that still though feels more in line for my character. I don't
really
feel.
good at the role-playing
Yeah.
side, man. I mean, you're good at the other side, but I mean, it's that, yeah.
I feel like I've managed to create a character that is working for me.
Absolutely. Well, I think you all have. I think you're all doing marvelous work. So
As are you.
Thanks,
well done,
teacher.
everybody. Well done, all of us.
Yay, thanks, us.
That was Action Surge. We will be back very soon with another story episode in the world of Reliquiae. The newly dead are going to continue to make their way in the world of the living.
Oh, that's a good name.
Did you write that or did you come up with that? Just
Yeah, no, I wrote
That's our group
I
name.
wrote it down like maybe 6 months ago when I was prepping the campaign, and the whole thing's been reverse engineered just to give me that one line.
it's really elaborate.
Just got have we literally just got a group name?
Yeah, the newly dead.
Newly Dead.
Newly dead.
That's our first album.
That's a pretty damn
That's Natural
good team.
Six,
bad.
the Newly
Natural Six,
Dead.
the
That-
Newly Dead.
Yeah, that's our first album.
Yeah.
Well, we shall get into the studio now and start laying down some vox.
If someone at home would like to design an album cover for us,
Please do.
do.
You're so welcome. Check us out on various socials. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and we will see you very soon in the world of Reliquiae. D&D, baby!